I'd have a hard time telling anyone to pursue CG today. I don't know how much left is going to be there once this AI dust settles. I feel like the AI stuff is really just getting going, just going to keep getting better and better. There was a much bigger element of, like you just said, creating something new, something we haven't seen before, pushing the edge of what we can do in visual effects. I feel like a lot of that's missing these days. It's more about getting it done. When Seed Dance 2 hit, that's when it really got my attention and I started doing some serious steps.
Welcome to the CG Pro podcast. This is episode 102. My name's Ed Dawson-Taylor, and we have a very special guest today, Marc Rienzo, VFX Supervisor. If you enjoyed the show today, I invite you to sign up for our newsletter, which is on our website, www.becomecgpro.com, and you can find out about these events that we do, the show, the podcast. We also have a webinar for AI for filmmakers on June 25th at noon PST, 12 p.m. PST. So come and join us as we go through the cutting edge of AI and hybrid film workflows. All right, so today's special guest is Marc Rienzo, a visual effects supervisor, director, author, and I'm going to bring him on to say hello.
Hello.
Marc,
how's it going?
It's going great. Yeah. Pleasure to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You bet. You bet. Well, what an interesting time we are in. So you come from an amazing background in visual effects. You've worked at big studios on big movies, and you're also a creator in your own right, I guess is what people call it these days, but an author, filmmaker. I'd love to, at the beginning, just take a step back to the beginning of your journey and just talk about how you got into this. It's really interesting to know how people got into this industry in the first place, whether it was an inspiration from something you saw as a child or something you happened into. But tell us a little bit about how you got into this.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been an artist and was doodling and drawing before I knew what to doodle and draw. I fell in love with comic books at an early age. And around the time of the marketing for Batman, that really ramped up, Batman 89, that kind of got me into the comic book shop and then drawing comic books. And that's where really my passion really kind of set in, that I wanted to do storytelling with my art. And from there, I was pursuing that and went to School of Visual Arts for my first year of school as a comic book illustrator. And then around that time, I saw Jurassic Park and like everything changed with CG and stuff. So from there, I started investigating, like, how, is this something I could do? Because let me back up a little bit. I was always big into film and everything, but, long before the internet, I never realized as an artist that film could be a job as an artist. It's crazy.
You could actually do it. Yeah.
That sounds today to say that, but like, I didn't know that was something that I could use my skills towards. So I found out about Ringling School of Art and Design, transferred there, studied computer animation. Long story short, got my first job at PDI DreamWorks out of there. And from there, just ended up bouncing around from company to company, working on films I wanted to see, as well as working at companies that I wanted to learn from and meet people. So it kind of became a thing of mine, was just like, I want to learn this, I want to learn that, I want to work with these people. I just kind of got carried away with it, to be honest.
Yeah. Never. Wonderful. Well, that's the right thing, the right thing to do, to be able to get carried away by something and get paid for it.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And what a great start, straight into DreamWorks. How did that come about?
Well, that was part of the reason I selected Ringling back then. And they're talking, what was this, 94, 95. I was in School of Visual Arts, 93, 94. And their computer animation program was just getting going. I think that had been started a year or two by at that point. But Ringling already had graduates, alumni in the field and whatnot, working at some big studios. And they had a lot of the companies visiting Ringling. I believe School of Visual Arts did as well. But yeah, PDI had visited the school and I had gotten in it.
Gotcha. So you saw some evidence from the school that they were getting results, and that's kind of led into your choice.
Plus, I was freezing my ass off in New York with blizzards and stuff. And you look at the Ringling brochure and this kid's painting on the beach. That definitely.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it's got to be appealing when you're thinking of where to go as a student. I remember being in that position as well and basing my decision on how good of a time I had on the visit, which did it have a good bar or whatever at the time. Cool. Well, so you were there and you actually got into one of the best, biggest studios you probably could have at the time. How did that work? You applied, you got they sent you a reel.
Well, they, like I said, they visited the school, so they come there, give a big presentation, and then everyone like submitted their reel, and they select a handful of students that they want to meet with, and then it just kind of worked out that way. I was big into at Ringling. They kind of gear you, at least back then. I'm talking about early '90s. So everyone was mostly character animation, and I knew pretty early on that I didn't want to be a character animator, and was definitely gravitating more towards compositing. So that was appealing to them. They were just moving from their command line compositor to composer, and I had learned on composer, and that was, I mean,
Good fit.
so yeah, it's good timing. Like everyone says, definitely helps.
Right, and preparation, because that's what they say, that luck is where preparation meets opportunity. So you were prepared, you had
Yeah,
learned the right things, and you were in that moment where they needed something specifically that. But it's interesting you said that you knew early on that you didn't want to be a character animator. I struggled with that concept because I saw Jurassic Park and wanted to become a character animator because of it, and then kind of punished myself for years by thinking that's what I wanted to become. But it took me a while to realize that. What was it that made you realize that there was something that a lot of people think they want to do, but you knew that it wasn't what you?
I mean, I think it's just coming from illustration. It's color and lighting that excites me. So making something move, it's part of like telling the story, of course, and film and everything. But there's people way better at it than I was, and it was very time consuming. And I was just rushing through it, trying to get to lighting and rendering and compositing. That I was like, okay, I get it. I understand the process. I can see how you can enjoy this, but I'd rather spend my time on the parts that I love and let the people that are really good at that and love that do that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, it's a great realization though, because I think running the school that we do, it's really interesting to see how many people think that they want to do something that probably actually don't want to do that thing that they're going after it, because it appears to be cool when you're watching it, but then when you're
For
actually
sure.
doing it, it's very different. I found that with character animation, that was the process was not something that I loved. It
Yeah.
was okay, but like I didn't love it, and some of the other stuff I loved. So it sounds like it was similar for you.
Back then, everything was so slow too. It's just
Right.
you had to wait so much time just to see what you did. And that was it.
Yeah, no, it's amazing how much time it takes to do that for a few seconds of good animation or like really high quality render, how much waiting's involved to be
Right.
able to see it. I think something that's interesting looking at where we may be going with all of this work, the waiting times seem to be decreasing for renders or for producing things. But I can remember waiting for renders for a week from the render farm before. And that makes people scared if they think the producer starts getting really twitchy if you tell them it's going to be a week. So, and it's not so much fun. It's great to like do things that you can see immediate results when you're an artist, I think.
Yeah, the speed thing for me was just, I meant in terms of like the dopamine hit
Yeah,
my artist brain gets to see the color and light change. Like that's where I want to be, not in the curve editor.
yeah, yeah. It becomes a very technical process when you're doing that type of work. So
It's
tell us about
objective.
your own. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So your own throughout this time, your own process must have been evolving too, because you got into it as an artist, as a person creating things, love of comics. Were you making comics early on, and did you continue as you got into the industry?
I mean, I did. I made a book in high school with a friend, and always wanted to come back to it. But once I started working, everything just took off. I was working on movies, and I was trying to like steer things a lot of times to work on a lot of comic book movies, even early on before that was the main industry, the big meat of the industry. So I did a lot of that, and I was kind of scratching that comic book itch. But then you work on the sequel, and then another one, and another one. it just becomes repetitive. So I always thought I wanted to come back to that, but then COVID hit, everything shut down, and I was always trying to do my own stuff on the same time, on the side at the same time. But it's obviously very difficult when you work working the crazy hours that we do. But COVID came, everything shut down, and I just started dabbling with some stuff, and ended up making it ended up being a lot longer than we all thought, of course. So I had made a card game with my kids, which was a lot of fun. So it was a lot of illustration and mixed with 3D and stuff. So that kind of really kind of got me excited again. Not excited. I mean, I was always excited, but I realized it's like, this is where my real love and passion always has been, was doing my own thing. Working in film, can't complain, learned so much and great career and everything. But I kind of got into this to always want to learn the tools to do my own stuff. So making that game kind of reinvigorated that passion, and now I started on my book, and that's moving forward.
Amazing. Yeah, it's really amazing looking at the list of movies that you've worked on. Some incredible experiences you must have had. Are there any that kind of stand out? I'm looking at the list right now, and the Lord of the Rings and Spider-Man, and some of the things that must have made you really, really excited.
Yeah, a lot of crazy experiences, a lot of late nights, a lot of different crews and tools. Tron was amazing. I always lean towards, like, there's two ways to look at it, right? It's like, one, how did the end result come out, and two, what was the process and the people like. And the ones we remember the most, at least for me, is who I worked with and
People, yeah.
the people and like the experience. So like number one, I always say Grinch was my most favorite project. It was probably I've learned so much, and it was early on in my career and met a lot of great people. It's my first time at Digital Domain. And then later Tron, just because it was such an artistic project. That was awesome. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of them. It's fun stuff.
There are indeed. Yeah.
I always try to do something different. I never really enjoyed when I'm doing the same thing. So it's just kind of branching out and moving around, and then getting to go on set or supervising, compositing, and then stepping back into lighting. Just keep it different, keep it challenging, so I keep learning.
What's that driven by? Is it that curiosity that's just been there always?
It's not as much work if you're learning, right? It's like, at least for me, it's like, if I'm learning, I'm getting paid to learn how to do something new. I guess a different dopamine hit. It's when you're doing the same thing over and over again. It's like, okay, then that's when it becomes work, right? Is when you absolutely know how to do it. You don't have to think about it. You just have to get it done. That's labor.
Yeah, it's interesting when you find someone who's an animator or something that's one discipline they sit in for a very long time. They find that nuance in doing the same, what looks like to me sometimes, or some, to be doing the same thing over and over again. But they find that crazy amount of difference in doing the same thing. But tell us about Tron. I know that you and Jackie got to work on the pitch, I believe, and the movie as well. I loved the movie. It was amazing, and the soundtrack and the way everything came together was just incredible.
Yeah, that was definitely a unique one. I had worked with Joe Kaczynski on several commercials at Sway Studio, and then Speedshape before that. So I had a little bit of a working relationship with him, and the Tron test started getting going, and I was on something else, and then they brought me on. There was like a halfway point. I don't remember what he was. This is so long ago, but I came on about halfway, and we worked on that. That was a lot of fun, and definitely them. Once I heard the film got going, I came back for that. It was a lot of traveling for me, working with studios in Toronto and Vancouver, and I was based out of Florida back then, so I was flying all around the country in a big loop through LA as well.
Right. Yeah.
But I do love the visuals in that movie. Quite proud of the stuff that I touched and whatnot. But I prefer movies like that to the purely invisible stuff, the stuff with a certain look to it.
Right, more fantastical, more.
Absolutely.
Right.
It's got one or the other. Like, anything in the middle is a problem, because then you're not sure if it was supposed to be that way. It's either I want complete photorealism or complete artistry, and that's how I felt Tron was. And there's been a few projects like that where it was like a lot of artistry, like expected from the artist.
Yeah, it paid off. It was an incredible movie. And tell us what it was like. What was the environment like working on a thing like that? Because I was so excited about it from the outside, not working on it. What was it like on the inside? Did everybody kind of know that it was going to be really a special movie?
I know there's certainly hope for that because the passion and love everyone has, or a lot of people have for the original, right? So, but at the same time, the visuals, we knew we were working on something new as well. Like it was definitely inspirations from it, but there was a lot of new stuff. As far as what it was like, it's hard to say. I had such a unique role in that, but one thing I can say was like the team at Digital Domain at that point in time was just phenomenal. There were so many amazing people there, and that was kind of like in my mind, around the height of VFX when things were just really, there's just so many good people and so much cool stuff happening, like new stuff happening and whatnot. I was the first Digital Domain Florida hire, and then I was supervising Prime Focus and Mr. X, and then ended up at DD Vancouver. So yeah, I was Florida based, and I had to go through LA all the time. So it was kind of a unique experience that way.
Right. Yeah. It was as I said, really, really cool movie. And I've had some experiences myself of being on Jungle Book as one example where we went on to it. I was at Digital Domain then as well, and did not know that it was going to be cool. But when we started seeing renders coming back, it was like, well, this is a level up from what we had before. But even more than that, the process was everything to me. It was just inventing something new, as you said. And I think that's something I resonate with a lot, is chasing the creative edge, I guess, of technology as well as the creativity in the work. Is that's something that you found as well?
Yeah, and that's something I miss, to be honest. That's when I was trying to get at, like back in the when I was saying back in the day on Tron, like there was a much bigger element of, like you just said, creating something new, something we haven't seen before, pushing the edge of what we can do in visual effects. I feel like a lot of that's missing these days. It's more about getting it done as quickly
Faster,
as you can. Yeah, and that's it. It's good
cheaper,
enough and
maybe.
ship it. So, like to me, those projects are not fun. I do not enjoy that. It doesn't mean I don't do them or haven't done them, but when I have my choice, that's yeah. I always pride myself and try to do. I want to do obviously the best work, but also I lean towards more of the artistic stuff.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I feel like it all goes in waves, and we're going through another one of them right now. So it seems another wave of change, having gone through the past 10 years where virtual production started to really push out. And that's what essentially what we were doing at DD and Jungle Book, about 10 years since, of exploring that kind of new way of making films, and where visual effects started to push backwards into pre-production, and it felt like it was bringing the pipeline together a little more. Those kinds of things don't happen all the time. You know, we've had a bunch of people on this podcast that have been around since practical to digital, or like our episode 100 was Alvy Ray Smith, who co-founded Pixar and invented the Alpha Channel, and he'd seen it go all the way through from the first pixel and making the first pixel all the way through to this moment where he's now in his 80s and is like a genealogist of our industry. But we're going through this very interesting phase now where we're exploring the AI, the whatever you want to call it, that can of worms or Pandora's box. Is that something that you've been exploring? Has it influenced your process at all?
Yeah, so that's the other thing about me is just when I got into compositing, like I didn't just get into compositing. I love image processing, and some people just associate them as the same thing. They're definitely different things. So and I always have been, just any kind of new 2D tool or process or software came out, I was checking it out. So I've been toying with the AI stuff since it hit with Dolly and all that stuff.
Since
But
the Discord days.
yeah, exactly. But it wasn't. I didn't find it too usable for much at all. Although when Seed Dance 2 hit, that's when it really got my attention, and I started doing some serious stuff. So I'm making a movie trailer right now for my book. So that's a lot of fun. It's crazy what you can do. Like you said, a wave. This is a tsunami.
Yeah, it's a big wave.
It's this. Talk about disruption. I mean, I'm curious to see where this is all going to go because there's a lot of different ways it can go.
Yeah. I mean, nobody knows, as you said earlier. Nobody knows where it's going to go. And just today, Sea Dance 2.5 got announced.
I saw that. Yeah,
that's
next month.
Yeah, apparently July. Yeah, and it's supposed to be 30 seconds and 50 references.
50, yeah, 4K and all of it.
4K, yeah. I'm interested to see whether it's 4K, actual 4K, or some upscaling. That's like sometimes what comes through. But if it is 4K, very interesting. And you saw the video, the teaser?
I did. Yeah, the Eiffel Tower taking off as a rocket. Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm curious about the in video edit stuff. That'll be a big game changer if that works well.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. Some of the models are now exploring that in video, being able to edit, take things out. But if it means like actually being involved in it in the video in real time, there's some real time models that are coming out now, which I think are really interesting too.
Yeah, I was thinking like in terms of how fast this is rolling out. Sorry, did that just affect that? No, as fast as it's rolling out, I could see a day where we have like real time 1080p, whatever, 4K video playing, and you can changing it as it's just looping real time. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think it's coming. When, I'm not sure. I mean, we've already got real time kind of stream ultras. I could be on here looking like Einstein or whatever.
Right.
It's close to real time. It's really fascinating seeing what's happening in that. I'm curious too whether we end up with like an interactive visual effects experience. That's coming through virtual production for 10 years. Really, really interesting, because that was like the filmmaker's moment to be in something that looks a bit like VFX but isn't. It's not the final necessarily, unless sometimes it is, maybe if it's on a wall. But wondering whether that becomes a mode that we can work in, where we're interacting with the things, like not just behind us, but like something we can interact with it in front of us or with us. It's like,
yeah. So is it still VFX then? No, because you're just editing a video where you're creating the entire video and then you're making edits to it. It's just
I don't know
visual effects anymore.
Yeah, that concept to me feels or sounds more like virtual production, where you're in production in a sense, but there's a virtual component to it. But it's not necessarily CG, or maybe it is a bit. Maybe there's like CG ingredients that come in and influence it, as well as the live action, as well as the generative.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe we need to invent a new term for that.
I think it's all going to end up in finishing. You'll get it just like we do now. We get it to where we get it, and then DI or a flame artist takes it to makes all those last little corrections to obviously the AI errors are still pretty big, problematic.
Yeah, definitely. There's work in that now, in doing comp fixing for AI slop.
Yeah,
if you like. Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. I also think there'll be a lot of pre-work too, if you want to design it before you get to that moment where you're shooting it. You want to build a thing to influence it. If you want to build a character that you maybe feed into that.
That's what I've seen. You have to have all your ducks in a row. Otherwise, you're going to have massive continuity issues, lighting issues, all of that. You have to have everything figured out as if you're going on location and shooting. You need to know the staging, the lighting, the geometry of everything.
So maybe there'll be a whole load of work that just happens more like virtual production happens. We do it a lot before, and then there'll still be some that happens afterwards.
Right.
Probably still some that happens in a traditional way. We don't know. We don't know. It's going to be interesting finding out. What would you like it to look like as a process?
Well, that's a good question. For me, I see this as a huge opportunity to do my own stuff, tell my own stories. So if I back up a little bit, I started doing a comic for two reasons. One, I was always passionate about comics and I wanted to do my own. And I love drawing and blah, 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 blah. However, the stories and concepts I come up with are way too expensive to try to do in film, even if I had a massive team, and I don't have a massive team. So that made it all kind of, it just clicked for me. I was like, okay, well, I don't need to make another visual effects reel. I have visual effects experience in visual effects reels. Why am I going to try to do this as a short film? Or I was toying around with doing a teaser or for the film, but then it's so much work and for such a short little thing. Well, this way I can tell the entire story. Basically, I have an unlimited budget because I'm doing a graphic novel comic series. And then as I started doing that, all this stuff started coming out. So that's why I was checking out Sea Dance. I'm like, okay, well, maybe I could make a movie. So just kind of sticking my toe in the water and trying it out, and that's where I'm making the movie trailer. But the book's not AI, but I got no problem using AI to make the movie trailer video.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it's a lot of work. I've made a few short films through my career, but not many because of generally doing what you were doing, sitting in a warehouse for 12 plus hours.
Yeah,
and it's hard to go home.
Time-consuming work.
It is, yeah. I mean, it's been amazing doing it, and I love doing it, but time-consuming. And if you want to do a thing of your own after doing some commercial art for someone else all day, it's difficult to spin your own machine up at the end of that. But maybe if this becomes faster or easier, or we can move in and out of commercial projects and do some of our own. Tell us about the book. I know I said I wouldn't ask that question that generically, but what was the moment you realized, okay, now this is when I'm gonna do it?
Honestly, it's just getting older too. Like I mentioned doing the card game, but then like I always talked about wanting to do my own stuff, and I'm working on Spider-Man, I'm working on Star Wars, I'm working on this, I'm working on that, and as you start working on the sequels of those things and you start doing the same thing over and over again, like I said, I was like, I'm getting older. If I'm going to do this, I need to do it sooner than later here. So the card game really got me excited to do it. After finishing that was just a little quick short thing. So then I started spending some time and toying around and seeing like what it meant to try to do this.
But what did it look like when you started doing it? When you started to work on it, were you kind of doing it in your spare time? Were you just making little bits and tests? And
yeah, it was so like I did the card game during COVID, and then as things started to slow down, go back to normal, that's when I started doing this like in between projects, and now I'm pretty much full time. And I love to tell people because it gets a laugh, especially like this crowd. Working in visual effects, obviously we use like Maya, all the Pro Tools. This I started toying around with like Daz 3D. It's like the most basic mom and pop 3D software, but their library is extensive and very cheap. So I was able to kit bash my characters using their library, and then I basically posed and lit everything. So the comic is based on 3D images. So I block it out and light it that way, but then I paint on top of it. So it has like a 3D foundation to it. Everyone always gets a laugh when I tell them I use Daz 3D. Just didn't want to overcomplicate it with Maya or anything like that. It wasn't necessary. Basically, like my previs.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you've got to use the right tool for the right job, and if something is too complex, then it gets in the way of you getting it done, and it's not the right tool. And actually, really similar process that we went through with the beginnings of Jungle Book and Lion King as well, just making some rough previs in Unity and taking screenshots and sending them to the art department to do paint overs and make them extraordinary concept art. But they've got all of the perspective for free, essentially.
Yeah, it was also essentially a crutch for me. My art skills are what they are. To do a comic book, you have to be able to draw anything and everything from any angle. So while I can draw to be able to do that, especially with human anatomy and make it look good, I needed that foundation to be able to pose a character. And it's you actually I found I've learned and improved so much just from doing that, just from having those backdrops, those renders underneath. You learn from it because you're drawing on top of it. You start to understand where how all the muscles connect and look from these angles.
Right. It's kind of like a sort of life drawing of sorts, where
Yeah,
you're reproducing what's in front of you, and the more you do it, the more that just it's like doing reps in the gym. It's like it kind of soaks in. Do you do it like, I believe comic books are produced where you ink first and do that, and then do the color after?
yeah. So that's I get the render and then I'll sketch on top of it and kind of find where the comic line iteration or version of that looks like, and it's a lot of back and forth. And then I ink that, and then I the renders are like I said, they're lit in Iray in DAZ, so that gives me kind of like a good indicator of how the color how I'm going to color it. I was thinking about that when I was lighting and rendering and texturing and all that stuff.
Right. So some of that is in the 3D itself,
Absolutely,
as
yeah.
in the idea of it. Right.
Yeah. That's how I'm able to get like such good forms and stuff, just because it was lit from 3D. I'm not painting all of that lighting.
Yeah, it's hard to do.
Yeah.
Always amazed me how the Disney animators or something like that would keep shape and form, especially when it's transforming, and especially
Right.
when it's moving and you get weight.
Right.
Unbelievable. The kind of mental simulation they must be doing when they're doing it. It's just, it's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to like hold all of that in your head, like a computer would try and hold it for you, but you'd have to try and hold all of that in your head, all those variables. Yeah, yeah. So, what stage are you at with the book?
Book one is done, and I'm working on book two now. And the trailer, I'm going to be launching a Kickstarter, or at least announce. I guess I've announced it, but I haven't set up the page or put it out there or anything like that yet. So yeah, I got it right. I got my proof right here.
Awesome, cool. Look
One's
at
got
that.
the hologram cover. I was just doing some print tests. It's a lot of fun.
Nice.
But yeah, The Old Man and the Omnipotent. It's a space fantasy, space opera. It's about a guy who had to make a impossible choice when the woman he loved was possessed by a cosmic force, and he takes their newborn son and disappears into 1980s suburbia. So it's a big kind of mix of fantasy and science fiction, and like I threw in the suburbia thing because there's definitely some like early Steven Spielberg Amblin Entertainment kind of vibe to it. It's going to be about 24 issues, and then it will all collect in a hardcover when all the individual issues are done.
Wow, amazing.
A long-term project. It's going to be going for a
Yeah,
while.
so cool though. I mean, I've felt for a while like there should be more of that made. Like, I obviously we grew up on that
Yes,
genre, and there's something magical about it that I feel like there isn't enough of these days.
that's exactly how I feel, and it's basically it's what I want to see, and I feel like we were getting so much good stuff for quite a while, and then I don't know what happened. Everything's just there's so few good movies these days. So when you asked what was the kind of the moment that made me want to do this, that was part of it. It was this, I was just getting tired of working on stuff that I didn't like, or going to see stuff that I didn't like. I'm just like, I want more of this. So hopefully other people agree and check it out.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it and checking it out. And definitely when you put the Kickstarter out there, let us know and we'll push it out in whichever way we can.
Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah. No, you bet. I mean, I think it's inspiring to me that somebody thinks that they don't like the way that they see things out there, or there's not enough of what they want to see, and to actually do something about it, I think is really cool, because you can
Yeah.
always
I mean,
complain about it, but
Yeah, there's lots of good stuff out there too. Don't get me wrong, but it's also mine. So of course I love it, and it's a story I want to tell, and it's very rewarding not having a coordinator coming around every 2 hours asking me if it's done. It's on my schedule, and I'm not getting notes. It's mine.
Right. There's no client.
And there's no like it's the comics. So there's not really a budget. I don't got it. It's stills. Yeah. Of course, there's money involved, but
yeah,
there's a great quote from Jack Kirby with something to the effect of, I need to memorize this because I keep quoting him, but like, my only budget is my imagination. The only limit to my budget is my imagination.
Yeah, that's, I think, is
but in film,
a scary place sometimes. Yeah. Well, I was interested to ask that question. As you're making the comic, are you starting to think about the film? You're making a trailer, so that...
Well, yeah, 1,000%. So, like I said, when I started out, this wasn't an option, and now I'm realizing it is. So, making the trailer, and I'm kind of thinking maybe I make a trailer for each issue, or who knows, as fast as this technology is changing, like we just said, Dance 2.5, maybe at some point I do make the film. Although, seeing as I've already, gone down this path of the book, I do want to finish the book as well. So we'll see where things go.
Yeah, you can take it one step at a time. Yeah,
it's changing so fast too in terms of what you can make. So yeah, I'm definitely keeping my eye on it.
I'm sure are you exploring that idea already? Like, you're making a trailer, but you're starting to think, like, could I do this myself, or with a small team, could I just start?
I think as fast as the tech is coming out, that it won't be that much longer before you could really take some big swings at making a feature-length film at home, one person, on a modest budget.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it as the cliche says, this is the worst that it's ever going to be. It's continuing to improve, as are all the things. I mean, the 3D tools are also improving. People are making their own 3D tools, and the previous process that we're used to is also being sped up by this technology. It's not just that we're trying to completely subvert it and go straight to the video. Like, it's also probably going to help us speed that all up as well.
Right. It's making its way into the tools themselves.
Yeah. I think almost all of them now have some element of it. Some of them seem more keen on it than others. But all the things that when I first got into the industry, my first job was Match Move, and I left the industry because of it. I'm like, I don't want to do this. And I went into commercials for a while, parked there for a while, and then came back into it when I had more skills. I could do something else other than that. But I think there's a lot of the process that it can make easier. I know that it's challenging because there are people who make their living doing those things. But that's where the conversation gets difficult. But I also feel that we've always been doing that. We've always been inventing things that make other things different or obsolete. It's not a new concept in that sense. But this is a very new technology.
And this is unseating a lot of different things at the same time.
Yeah.
The fact that we don't know where it's going is, I think that's where it's got a lot of people scared because of that. And then not everybody wants to do their own thing. Some people are, what's the term for that? Just a tradesman, craftsperson. They're happy to come in, which is totally fine, normal. Like, happy to come in, do whatever the client wants, and that's their day. Me, I just came from a different spot. I always wanted to tell my own story.
Yeah, me too. We have a couple of questions come in from the audience here. So one question is a good one. Which is harder, building someone else's vision or building your own from scratch? Your own.
At least I'm my own worst critic. I mean, that's the case for most artists. So yeah, you want it to be your best. It depends too on who the client is. Some clients don't know what they want, right? But yeah, pleasing myself has definitely always been the harder thing for me to do, especially on my stuff. And that when I am working on film or other stuff, like, I'm always trying to obviously please the director, supervisor first, but I want to be happy at the end of the day too. So like I'd always try to, like everybody, do the best work that I can in the parameters that are given. But I definitely find I'm my own worst enemy in terms of my own work, because I want it to be every panel, every frame, every shot. I want everything to be the best thing that I can do.
So is it that it's tricky to know when to stop with polishing all the things, or what's hard? What's the hardest?
Yeah, I mean, I know how to, from all the years of working, I know how to get something out the door and done to the client's liking. But if I'm the one approving it, like I find like myself always looking back, like, oh, I can make that better. I can make that better. So it's about deciding when to call it done, for
When
sure.
to stop? Yeah, because nothing's ever like as good as somebody in the environment wants it to be. Like when it's you're your own producer, your own client, your own supervisor. You have to. Is there any ways that you kind of like trick yourself into like thinking that there is a separate client or approval process, or like you have a timer, or how do you do it?
No, just because I have time. I'm not trying to hit, at least yet. I'm not trying to hit a deadline. I've got the first book. Also, knowing this being the first book, I wanted everything to be perfect, or nothing's perfect, but my best work. I wasn't just trying to get it out there. The best that I could do, and I'll take it from there. And it took me a lot longer to do the first one, a lot longer than it took me to do the second one, which is
right. That's normal, I guess, though, because you're figuring so much out.
Yeah, figuring
beyond just the ideas, your process, your
pipeline,
schedule,
and then
everything.
And how many issues it was going to be. It was like at first I was trying to keep it down, but it definitely grew. I was trying to keep it at like 12, but it's 24.
24, amazing. Do you feel like you would like to keep going this way, or would you want to publish or a publisher, or I guess starting a Kickstarter, you don't have a client, but you still have some sort of thing to deliver on suddenly for people?
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's why I waited until number one was done. I know everyone does Kickstarters and the thing's not done yet. I wanted to have it in the bag before I go publicly, globally on Kickstarter saying support me on this. So I have the first one, and the second one's close. I'm probably shouldn't say just yet. I don't know, but I'm thinking of having the Kickstarter do issue 1 and issue 2, or there's an option for both, that sort of thing.
Cool. Well, we won't hold you to it, don't worry. And it's a great way to do it. I think we had another guest on who was Deborah Pratt, who was one of the creators of Quantum Leap. She created a really cool comic series herself, and it's really went well through the Kickstarter. I think I wish you nothing but the greatest success with that. We've got a couple other questions here from the audience. If you were 22 and starting today, what would you focus on learning?
Starting today with what goal in mind?
It's a very good qualifying question. I like it. I don't know. Maybe
film, CG.
Let's pick one, and if the person wants to follow up with CG, another question.
Visual art.
CG. There you go. We got a qualifier.
I'd have a hard time telling anyone to pursue CG today, to be perfectly honest. I don't know how much left is going to be there once this AI dust settles. I feel like the AI stuff is really just getting going. It's got a lot more that it's going to accomplish and take over and spread its wings into and be able to do, and its capabilities and HDR and 60-second clips. It's just going to keep getting better and better. I definitely couldn't recommend someone to get. I don't, but there's a lot I don't know in terms of what's happening in terms of the studios and the software. Like there's got to be so much happening right now in terms of developing better AI CG tools. I mean, I know there is, but I don't know specifically what.
Well, let's take the question and take it up a level. So CG is really a means to an end. I think, like, I fell in love with the process big time. I've been a CG professionally for 20 years and unprofessionally for a good amount of time before that, going back to when I was at college in the 90s. So CG is a way and a means to an end, really. You're typically trying to make something visual, visible, moving, or something. Could be all sorts of different things at this stage, but directionally, if we take that as a direction that somebody wants to make moving images in some kind of industry, what would you tell them to focus on?
So basically, storytelling. I would learn the AI tools. I would definitely try to stay up to date and see what's coming out and test them and use them and make something. Don't be the guy that's just learning the tools but didn't make something. You have to be able to show you did it. So by make just a short film, make a 30-second commercial, 1 minute commercial, and then grow from there. Like I've done a few little things that just tests and a joke here and there, but stuff I'm not even posting. But it was just a learning process on how to okay, can I push this tool to tell this story? This is the story I want to tell. It's pretty straightforward. Can the tools handle it? There's still a lot of stuff you have to do to make AI work, creative editing, post fixes, and that sort of thing. But it's got its limitations, but it's super powerful, and you can do a lot for all the credits and the subscriptions and all that stuff adds up. But when you look at what you're getting for the cost, a couple $100 here and there, or what, even that couple thousand, like you can spend the money really fast, obviously. But go if you haven't tried to shoot anything, go get a small crew and shoot for a day and see what that costs you.
How many credits that takes?
Yeah, how many credits that takes.
Yeah, it's a good point. And in making things with AI, or like theoretically poking into that future, what do you think helps you the most to make good things? What would you learn in order to make good things using a tool that has less maybe technical input that you need to learn?
Well, that's a good question. I think that it makes me realize that my suggestion of learning the new AI tools, there's some prerequisites there. You should know how to do basic editing. I personally use Adobe Premiere. There's other options, of course, but just being able to understanding cinema and film, and how to set up a shot and tell a story and stage it, that sort of thing. Nothing's going to do that for you. You need to be able to understand how all that stuff works, and it's the first time you do it, it's amazing. Even if I've always been into film and studied it and working it, but the first time I try to shoot and cut my own stuff, it was there's a lot I don't know once you actually start doing it.
Would you recommend that people learn to draw?
Yeah, drawing is the easiest, fastest way to communicate ideas, right? So you don't have to be a master at any of it, but basic drawing skills is essential. Even if you just have to communicate to the person you're sitting next to, or if you're on set, it's no, not like that, like this. So yeah, I don't understand how people that don't draw at all do this, but everyone has their.
Getting an idea down into visual form. The other way is to write. You can crystallize the ideas down into word tokens, but visual tokens is drawing or some way to get that down. I really like drawing for making you hyper focus on tiny differences between things visually. The small difference of a line, 1 degree in a line makes to the composition. There's nothing that I've done like life drawing particularly that tunes your eye in much more than that.
Absolutely.
Even if you don't end up doing it a lot as part of the job, I still think it's a really good practice to dial your eye in. So another question here: how does Marc see AI incorporating into the VFX spectrum, and does he see concern for artists? We touched on that a little bit already, but
I think one of the first areas it's going to really be useful is for additional photography reshoots. Hey, we went out and filmed this, and now we just need these shots. It's really work really well with that. They're probably doing that right now, I imagine. I don't know. And some of the big, ridiculous, expensive visual effects that we all have seen and worked on, I can't imagine anybody ever spending that kind of money again on those type of shots. They probably are right now because stuff that's in production, but any new show that's starting up, I say that, but over a year ago, I was hearing the voices of can we do this? Can we save money with AI? Can we do it this and that? On those shows back then, it wasn't ready yet, but those voices are just got to be louder today. And I wouldn't be surprised if some stuff's already working in that regard.
It seems that way, yeah. It seems like things like Interpositive, Ben Affleck's company being acquired by Netflix, with the hint of that from what little you can read online about what that represents. But it seems like a number of the bigger companies are trying to get things to train on the thing that they're already doing for that reason, and not just to make up the VFX stuff. But yeah, I would agree with you there. Somebody asked me that question recently as well. What's going to be the first stuff to go? And it's like the same as it always is with anything. It's the most expensive. If there's cuts in a company, they usually go for the people who are being paid the most first, because it's the easiest saving, and it's the same deal. But yeah, hopefully ultimately we just continue to be able to make better things, or good things at least. And yeah, it's going to be really interesting. I think that the smart people are out there figuring this stuff out. If they're visual effects artists, they should be at least experimenting with it.
Yeah, I mean, it really kind of changes the playing field in terms of, who can do what. The real trick is, which obviously the studios still have, the big advantage on, is the advertising and eyeballs, the reach. Like, obviously Disney and all the big studios still have that, but as an independent creator, you can do big, quote unquote, big budget sequences, films, stories now. However, that's going to be the trick, is to get it in front of enough people.
Marketing is like more than 50% of the effort of anything that you're doing, including being a visual effects artist. Really, like, you need to be out there, you need to be known, you need to be visible, especially these days. Almost nobody's getting anything through applying for jobs. They're getting it through having a good network, or being seen posting things that are relevant, or
right.
It's all marketing. It's so much. It can be fun, I think, as a practice, being able to share what you're doing.
I hate the marketing end of it, but that's where I need help.
You're gonna have to get comfortable with it. There's always a bit of growth somewhere. No, I found the same thing getting into CG Pro 6 years ago. It's like, knew nothing about it. Jackie actually knew a lot more than I did, but knew nothing about it. And the more the time has gone on, the more I found it to be quite enjoyable, because you're really just sharing things and making things. It's quite educational at the end of the day, making things, sharing things with the world, especially when it's something that you're building and making, and you care about it, and you find good ways to do it. It can be fun. But I totally get it. I was more on the Bill Hicks end of my thoughts about marketing before. Someone asked whether you are using any AI stuff on the comic project.
No. I started before the AI stuff even came out, and it was basically the workflow that I kind of established for the card game. And it was also me wanting to revisit just my comic book skills this is what I originally wanted to do. So it was just working on my anatomy and getting that stuff up to snuff.
Back to the fundamentals. Fantastic.
But 100% for the trailer.
Yeah. When any ideas when we might see it?
Well, like I said, the first book's done, so I just got to figure out the timeline for the Kickstarter.
Yeah, so it'd be around the Kickstarter that would be we'd see the trailer.
I've got on my website right now a sign up for the first look. Anyone on that list will get the first look at the trailer or any news or the Kickstarter date. So come check that out and sign up.
Tell us the website.
It's on my website, marcrienzo.com. There's an Old Man in the Omnipotent section.
There you go. Just for those who are listening to this, but they might want to go check it out.
The trailer I'm hoping to drop like within a month. I'm working pretty hard to share it.
Awesome. Can't wait to see it. Well, as I said, definitely share it with us, and we will put it everywhere we can.
Awesome.
Is there anything else that people can follow you on Instagram or any other places that you hang out?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram, TikTok, Vimeo. It's all, my handle's Marc Rienzo. Anywhere I go, it's the same thing. Great. But I probably post I do a lot of behind the scenes stuff on TikTok as I'm drawing and stuff. Sometimes I turn the camera on and record that and put that out there. I need to be a little more consistent with it, but it's just me trying to do it all.
Yeah, no, I get it. It's cool though. I mean, there's something which I think people really love, like going back a long time in that tradition to Lord of the Rings was really good at that, showing so much process along the way, all the behind the scenes stuff. I know, I'm sure you were probably a bit involved in that because you worked on one of
The
those
second
movies.
one, yeah,
Yeah.
that was a crazy one too. Insane hours, wet a basement, the comp dungeon they called it.
It's always a dungeon. Why couldn't it be something different? It's always a dungeon. Yeah, that was again fantastic result. Loved those movies. I remember the first one being going to see that in the theater and just thinking, me and my friend just coming back from that, just saying, "This is what we got to do. We got to do this." We were so excited to do it, and I was probably 5 or 6 years before I got into the industry, but totally lit up by them. Very inspiring. Very inspired to see the process. Like Jurassic Park, I bought the making of book,
Yeah,
and just wore that book out, just looking
yeah.
at it, and like I just wanted to be there so much.
So yeah, that reminds me. In the beginning, you were asking about like how I figured out computer animation wasn't for me. That was the other thing. It was just any VHS tape I could get my hands on that had like the behind the scenes movie magic. I just thought blue screens were cool. Like that alone got me excited. Not as much, I mean, even more so. Just the idea of taking different things and putting them together and making them look real, compositing. That's what excited me more than the 3D stuff or the animation.
Yeah, people love, even if they're not going to get into the industry, people love the process. I've always loved that. Lots of people follow like befores and afters or things of that nature. Like it's because they just like seeing how it was done, even if they're not going to get into it. Yeah.
I used to love making breakdowns too.
Yeah, me too.
A lot of work though.
Yeah, yeah. It sort of tailed off a little bit for me, unless like the company was saying you're scheduled to make this. And you
right, yeah. That's the best. If you're getting paid to make a breakdown, that's the best. Absolutely. Yeah. You're going to pay me to work on my reel. Cool.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, wow. So many more things that I want to talk about, but maybe we can have you back on again sometime.
Cool. Sounds good. But did we go through? Oh, wow. It's already after 4.
I know. It doesn't feel like it, right?
Flies.
It does. Yeah. I mean, really cool to have you on the show, and just amazing to hear about your thoughts about the future and your positivity about your making your own work, which I think is something that it definitely inspires me and hopefully other people to go do more of that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me.
You bet. Well, thank you for being here, and thank you also to our audience. Thank you for being here today and for asking those great questions as well. And yeah, thank you all. If you enjoyed today, go sign up for our newsletter and you'll see all of the announcements that we make, including our AI for Filmmakers webinar, which is coming up on the 25th of June at noon Pacific time. If you want to see the things that we've been talking about today and the cutting edge of where AI is influencing filmmaking, then come check it out. It's free. Come hang out with us. But yeah, thanks again to Mark and to all of you. We'll see you again in another couple of weeks for our next episode. Meanwhile, take care, be curious, go out there and make great things, and we'll see you all soon. Bye for now.
Cool. Bye-bye. Thank you.